I want us to speak about different seasons, and most especially the seasons of waiting. In life, you're going to find yourself in different seasons because we all have the natural progression of things that has already been designed for us, and God has already given us kind of like a timeline for when things are going to fall into place for, when you get married, when you have kids, when you graduate, when you get money, when you don't have money. You don't really have control over certain things, regardless of how hardworking you are. So how do you go about the different seasons when you're navigating situations and scenarios with your friends and your family? How do you remain content in the seasons of waiting? Because it's not quite easy, yeah? Now, what's a season of waiting? A season of waiting is when you are working towards things. You're working towards a life that you want. You're working towards things you want to attain. It could be money, it could be, family, it could be even just peace of mind, or, whatever you're trying to achieve for yourself. How do you handle the seasons when, those things are not falling into place for you, but they're falling into place for each and everyone around you? It takes a lot of courage, but at the same time, it's also tasking emotionally, because then you have to deal with the negative emotions of feeling like you cannot attain that thing at the moment, or maybe you're not good enough for it like in that time. And I think this video is just here to encourage you just in those moments to really look into yourself and realize that, what, just because things are not happening right now, it doesn't mean that it's not going to happen for you eventually. Let's look at, why do we feel sad? Why do we feel bad in those moments? I think sometimes we feel bad in those moments because we are not well aligned with what we want, yeah? We are almost desperate for it, or sometimes we feel like maybe we are not good enough for it and probably it will not come to us eventually. And it causes us to panic a little bit. Now, if you notice, when you're panicking, your brain is not even working very well for you to think about how you can progress or how you can be able to get on course to achieving that thing. So let's say you're trying to you're manifesting a better life for yourself. You want to have a house, you want to have a car, you want to get married, you want to have kids. And then all of a sudden your friends are getting married left, right, and center. They're having children, they're buying cars, they're buying houses, and it causes you to be in a panic because you feel like, oh my goodness, I need to keep up. I need to be, doing this, doing that. And sometimes you're going to be forced to make some really bad decisions because you're trying to keep up with everyone and what they're doing. So in this moment, I think it really requires you to kind of put a stop on things and stop trying to run towards every single thing, and then be in alignment with yourself. Yeah, what are you doing to get towards that goal that you have? Because you could be running around trying to attain what everybody else has, but what are you doing? They could be doing something. They could be going out there and looking for jobs, or even like better jobs that are paying them enough money to get to that goal that you're also admiring to get to. But if you're also sitting on yourself and not doing anything, it's hard to get to that goal. So instead of panicking when everyone else is getting, everything that you think you want, it's good for you in that morning. It's good for you in that moment to actually contemplate on a real game plan. What habits do I need to change about myself? Maybe I make a lot of money, but I'm squandering it. I'm spending it on useless things. Can I cut back? Can I maybe create a plan, a saving plan for, how I'm going to buy a house, how I'm going to buy a piece of land? Be more action oriented rather than letting your emotions make decisions for you in that moment. And then also, one of the things that those moments, like what it robs us of, is the ability to have joy and, to be happy for other people. Because what you need to understand is things are not going to happen at the same time for you and your friends. Your friend might get married this year, but you have no idea what their life is going to be in 4 years, 3 years, 5 years, yeah? So you need to think to yourself that it could be your season one time, but then another time it could be for someone else. So just because someone is having something going good for them right now, it doesn't mean that your life is doomed. It doesn't mean that for you, that's the end for you. It only means that your friend is able to attain that right now, and probably things have fallen into place for them now. But eventually, things may not fall into place for them, the same way it has, like in this moment. And at that moment, you could be at like, a thriving rate and growing at a very, very, very crazy rate. So you have to understand that every season has its time and every person has their time. So what do you do in the seasons of waiting? Work on yourself, work on your mentor, to always, because your mentor plays with you a number of, like, your mentor kind of plays with you sometimes, and it's the thing that puts you on a low. So have ways that you can empower your mind, in that you can be satisfied and content with what you have in the moment, so you can be present to celebrate moments with your friends, with your family, when their lives are taking off. And that means eventually when things are happening for you, you'll have a good circle around you who can also celebrate you and what you have going on. Avoid jealousy. Don't be jealous in the moment of what people have going on for themselves. I think it's good to admire how people are moving. It's good to, admire like how people's lives are transforming. And I think it sets a very good pace for you to imagine what you could do for yourself or where you would want to go. But don't put yourself in a position of jealousy, because jealousy eats you up. It eats up your mind, and I think it also kills your creativity. You're not going to be able to think productively and proactively when your mind is in a jealous state, because your mind is so distracted by what other people are doing. You can't even focus on yourself. You can't even focus on your own life. Okay. And then most importantly, set realistic goals. You can't want to be moving at the same rate as each and everyone else. Yeah. For instance, if I want to be like a multi-million dollar, brand, or if I want to build like a multi-million empire, I cannot move at the rate of someone who, has a ton of money and is able to scale things up in a period of 1 year. You can't do that. However, some people can, and that's the reality for them. But for you, you might have to realize that if I want to attain the same growth, then there is a number, like there are a number of sacrifices that I need to make. There are a number of strategies I need to take up in terms of how I handle my finances or how I bring in finances. There's so much analysis that you might need to do just to get the same thing. So if you get crazy thinking you can move at the same pace as other people, you're constantly going to be stressed out, and your mind is going to be so overwhelmed because you're operating outside of yourself. Yeah. So look inside yourself and make sure that you really, really, really listen to yourself clearly. Be clear on who you are and what you want. And even when people are doing this and doing that, don't get distracted. Focus on yourself, focus on your goal, and make sure you go for each and every single thing that you want. Being in a season of waiting doesn't necessarily mean that your life is not going to be great. It doesn't mean that your life is not going to change. It just means that things are not happening right now, but eventually they will happen. And if you can master that mindset, you will be okay even in those moments when things are not flowing very well. And I hope some of the steps that I've shared with you will actually be helpful for you in those moments when you're feeling a bit low, or when you identify that you're in a season of waiting and you know how to empower yourself even much better, so you can navigate it way better than you thought you would. Thank you guys for watching. I hope this video was of value to you, and if it was, please make sure that you subscribe, because I want you guys to stick around, watch more content, and definitely I love to get your feedback. So leave me a comment in the comment section below and let me know, how are you planning to navigate a season of waiting, or how have you navigated a season of waiting? Thank you for watching. Until the next video.